Hello. Hi. I have returned with a monsoon book haul. Why is it a monsoon book haul? Because monsoon is here. It was the first weekend of monsoon when I got the last of these books. So let's do a haul. Some of these books are birthday gifts, and the others are choices that were made. So let's just get into it. The first book that I've got here in this pile, right on in my hand, balanced right here, is Heart Lamp by Banu Mushtaq. And this is a translated book which was originally written in Kannada. This is a translated work of fiction which was originally written and published in Kannada, and it just won the Booker Prize. This has a collection of several short stories, and I think that these stories all center around the life of a woman, right? As she gets married, like newlywed women, their relationships with these new families, their relationships with their mothers in law. And I think it's an interesting exploration, especially as someone who has friends in sort of that point in life where this is something that they will be dealing with in the upcoming few years. And who knows, maybe I might have to deal with this as well at some point. So yeah, it's just something that's been on my radar ever since I found out that this existed. And the other day my friends and I were out for a bit, and I saw this book, and immediately my friend was like, hey, it was your birthday, here, you should get this book. So I've got this book. And the next book is, like I said, choices were made, and one of those choices was to get another copy of The N Crowns All, which I know I haven't read it yet. Why do I have two copies of this book? Because my copy of Girl Goddess Queen matches this copy of The N Crowns All, or like the other way around. This copy matches my copy, and it's got the same illustrations, it's got a similar cover, it's the same size, it's got the spray painted solid edges. So I'm gonna put these two together on the shelf, and it's a dream to have two books in the same series, or not series, universe. Still a bit salty about that. Matching. So yep, N Crowns All. Then the next book that I have is another book that I got like a second copy of, and it is Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods, which is the sixth Percy Jackson book, or like the first book in the revival series of Percy Jackson. Like we all know that Rick Riordan said that he was done with Percy Jackson, but because of the show coming out, I'm sure someone somewhere was like, write more Percy Jackson, and he had to. He had to, and just like that, I have to read it. I have to. So I love Percy Jackson. Like I keep talking about it a lot, especially over the past few days, and some of the books on this haul might partially be the reason why. But so I've got my original copies of Percy Jackson, right? Hold on, I'll just show them. It's really poetic that the first book that I got, because I got this when I didn't really know what a series was. I had been prior to this reading Enid Blyton books, and those were all set in the same universe, but not exactly in a series, as far as I could tell. I haven't revisited them when I got older, but as far as I remember, those were not in sequence. So the first book that I got from Percy Jackson was The Titan's Curse, which is actually the third book in the series. I read it, I loved it, and I was really obsessed with this. The pages are all yellowed. The book itself is falling apart. Although this one has not been reread as many times as my copy of The Lightning Thief, which was the second book that I got like right after this one, when I figured out the concept of books being in a series. So yeah, these have been drenched, these have been in direct sunlight. These have just gone through it. These have been read and reread, and they've been dusty, and but I just can't bring myself to like donate them or throw them away or give them away or whatever, because this is where it all started. This exact book, this is the book. Like, I remember the bookstore. It was in my hometown, it wasn't here in Delhi. And I remember going with someone, and the Percy Jackson movie had just come out. So I saw this book and I was like, hey, that looks like it's something. And this says, it's not every day you find yourself in hand to claw combat with a half lion, half human. And I was sold. But I also did get the Princess Diaries because I'd seen people reading it, and I think you can tell which way I leaned and which book I got. And it doesn't help that the Princess Diaries book I picked up was the ninth book in, I think, a 10 or 11 book series. So that aside, this is where it all started. So I have all these copies, but last year I finally gave in, and finally at the book fair I got the latest like editions of Percy Jackson. It's this one. These pretty editions. So all of this to tell you why I got Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods when I already own it. I just wanted this to match this edition, and here we are. And I think in the near future I might redo my entire bookshelf. Like, this rainbow has been a dream, but I think I'm at that point where I would love to put my series all together again. I mean, this is borderline psychopathic behavior, but as someone who's never had bookshelves, I just wanted to see what this would feel like. And yeah, it is a dream. It is a dream. Anyway, so that was a really long detour about why I got Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods. So I've got that. Now, the next book that I have is, okay, I'll just talk about Percy Jackson again for a sec. Is Percy Jackson and the Wrath of the Triple Goddess. And I was initially gonna wait for this to come out in the smaller edition, but then, like I said, choices were made. I already have Chalice of the Gods in this exact edition already. So I went ahead and got this. And when it comes out in the smaller edition, I might splurge again. I get it that this is a really redundant and indulgent book haul, but honestly, the reason that I broke my book buying ban in the first place was because I was just going through it, just going through it. And sometimes you need some unhealthy hits of dopamine, and sometimes you get those by hitting checkout and then crying about your bank balance later. So, choices were made. These choices are not endorsed or recommended, but these choices were made. Anyway, the next couple of books that I got were, first of all, Swimming Lessons by Malcolm. And I went to the book signing event, the book launch event. I met the author, I had a little chat. I heard him talk about the process of what he was going through when he wrote this book, what he was feeling, everything that was going on in his head. And I feel like there are certain themes in this book that I am really going to connect with because I went through those recently. And yeah, would love to read this one. So I've got Swimming Lessons. And then the next book that I got is Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. I went to the World Book Fair looking for this book, and the people there at the stall told me to get it off of Amazon. So I really wanted this book. This book is the sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which we have right here. That's a gorgeous book. This is a gorgeous book. I know that the third part of this series is also a gorgeous book. Part of the reason that I bought this is because I was worried that if I don't get it right now, since it's an imported book and not one that is locally published and sold within the country, is that I thought that it might like stop getting imported, or the prices might jack up like 3 or 4 or 5 times. And I want to read the entire trilogy together, but this way at least I have the second book. Because you know what happened? I have this book right here, The Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, on my favorites shelf. I love this book. I got it when I thought this was released as a standalone and then turned into a trilogy. So I got this book when I knew it as a standalone, and it took me a while to come around to reading it. And when I read it, I was obsessed. And then I found out that it's now a 3-part series, and the second installment came out like a few months after I found this out. And I really wanted to get it, but I didn't. I thought that I'd get the second and third parts together, and now the third part is out, and both of these books are exorbitantly expensive. These books are way over something that I can like afford to pay for one single book. And I really, really regret not getting the second book when it had come out and was still quite expensive, but still something that I could have paid for and gotten. So now it's just a ritual, like a semi weekly or a weekly ritual of mine, to log on to Amazon and see if the prices are dropping for the sequels of Little Thieves, because I do want them in hardcover, because I've got the first book in hardcover and because I love them so much. So, yeah, that's why I got Emily Wiles' Encyclopedia of Fairies. Now, for the final book in this book haul, I got The Last Bookshop, which was, this is so fitting. We are opening and ending with a book that a friend gifted to me, and The Lost Bookshop. This is so funny. So, like I said, I got these books on the first weekend of monsoon, and on Saturday, I was, like I said, out with my friends, and I saw Heart Lamp. And next to Heart Lamp, or like in that general vicinity, I did also see The Lost Bookshop. And I kept on making like eye contact with it, like I really wanted to get this one. And I almost gave in. But for some reason, and somehow, through some miracle, I held myself back and I didn't get The Lost Bookshop. And then, as a reward, I got it the next day when I met up with a different friend. And I am so grateful. Like, look at this. This is such a gorgeous, pretty edition. I filmed this entire video, but for some reason, my camera stopped recording midway. So I was just saying that this is such a gorgeous, pretty edition with the gold foiling on the book spines and all on the vines that are running along the edges of the book. And I am obsessed with it. And this is a book about a vanishing bookshop which casts a spell onto 3 unsuspecting strangers, and they discover that their own stories are every bit as extraordinary as the ones found in the pages of their beloved books. And isn't that something we could all use in our lives? Just the realization that our own stories are every bit as extraordinary as the ones found in all of these books. So this has been my long, windy, chatty, talkative, superfluous book haul with lots of twists and turns and tangents and offshoots and whatnot. But yep, that's what is life if not a cozy conversation between friends, right? And if you like this, that's great. And you could consider subscribing if you want. And if you didn't like this, I admire your dedication as a hater for sticking through the entire thing, anyways. So, yeah, that's great. So, that has been my book haul, and I guess I'll see you next time.